drug problem within the U.S. What's like a legitimate fix to this?
Which drug problem specifically?
I think anything, heroin. I think marijuana is being already legalized, being fine. When it comes to like fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, because the prohibition method we've been taking isn't really working out. But we can't really just let anyone.
I mean, we first need to close the southern border. That's number
course.
one. We need to have death penalty for drug dealers. That's number two. And we need to have much harsher penalties for anyone that is involved in the trafficking of drugs. And then we have to go after the actual supply, which is the Mexican drug cartels.
I think that's true, but isn't that taking like a alcohol prohibition type method where that?
I mean, it worked. Alcohol prohibition worked in one way. Alcohol usage went down.
But there was still mass
gangs from what was the problem with alcohol prohibition? Tell me.
The major gangs that came up during Chicago, New York.
Yeah, there was some bootlegging, but actually crime went down across the country.
Okay.
You can look at it. I mean, I'm not for like banning alcohol, but there's a lot of lies about prohibition that are told. But also, let's just stop acting as if heroin and alcohol are on the same level. Heroin's way worse, right?
No.
Meth is way worse. Fentanyl's way worse.
Of course.
But yeah, I think we have to be more serious about what actually creates the cascade of effects of people that want to be able to use these horrific drugs.
Yeah. I just want to is there like a plan we could go down to fix
Yeah, I mean, I think President Trump's doing the right thing. Secure the southern border, heavy penalties for drug traffickers, and going after the source of where all the drugs are coming from origination. So thank you very much. Great question. Thank you.
Hi there, Charlie. I just want to say I've looked up to you for many years. You're the one who got me into the conservative movement about 8-9 years ago. I really love you. And out of everyone in the conservative movement, you're the one who I feel matches my moral ideals the most. One thing I just want to ask you, as a Christian woman who wants to start a family, and I look around me nowadays, especially living in California, I'm really afraid of what my child's going to be exposed to. I live with a 6-year-old, and every time she comes home, I worry that she's playing dog, she's going to pretend to be a furry someday. Or I don't know, I get scared of that stuff, honestly. What do you think is the best way to prevent our children from being influenced from those ideals and growing up with the proper Christian ideals? Even though we keep it in our household, they're still exposed to it outside.
Yeah, first of all, don't send your kids to government schools. That's number one. Number two, have a very robust church life and attend church regularly. Honor God in all that you do. And also, marry a godly man that was willing to defend your kids and to wall off all of the negative, poisonous content that might come after your future children. It's very, very important. And then finally, I don't want to say leave California, but it's getting worse around. The cultural poisons and toxins that are out there is so dreadful. It is so heavy. So that would be my piece of advice for you.
Thank you so much.
And if you are called to be a stay-at-home mom, that's a beautiful thing. You don't have to go into the workforce to be a godly woman. In fact, I recommend being a stay-at-home mom. It's one of the most underappreciated elements of American life. Thank you.
What's up, Charlie? College enrollment rate has been dropping every single year for the past few years. Education feels much less regulated, not up to date, and pretty not advanced anymore. What do you recommend if you want to get educated but don't think a college education is the best way?
It's a good question. It depends on what you want to do, right? It depends on what you want to actually,
For example,
pursue.
sorry to interrupt, but this college here has promised to raise their tuition 35% over the next 5 years. 7%.
I mean, it's incredible. I'm going to be honest. In the next 10 years, we're not there yet. These colleges are going to be completely irrelevant.
Absolutely.
AI is going to take away 90% of the jobs, and advanced robotics is going to basically take over the world as we know it. So find something to study and be good at that AI can't do.
Thank you.
It's the best piece of advice I have for young people.
Thank you, Charlie.
Find something to be good at that AI cannot do.
Thank you.
It's a short list, by the way.
Yeah.
Because AI is getting pretty advanced, as you well know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Now I know your stance on DEI is, no DEI based on race, religion, ideology, political beliefs, which I 100% agree with. My question for you is, what are your thoughts on DEI I don't know if DEI is even the correct term, but based on context or circumstances. So I just want to use applying to college, for example. So let's say someone like J.D. Vance, who grew up in a very rough circumstance, probably went to an underfunded school, versus just another applicant who maybe went to private school, had more opportunities, had the opportunity to take higher level college courses and succeeded. So on paper, you could say that the one that took harder classes has, more merit. But would you also consider the fact that the other applicant didn't have the opportunity?
On the surface, it sounds good. So number one, this is the way they're getting around affirmative action, is they try to have these what they call context cultural scores, and they try to get around that way. The answer is no, that should have no bearing, because you need to have a system based on excellence, and if you do not, you will then discriminate against people that otherwise are very qualified to be there in those positions. It is not the goal of the institution to try to open the door to as many people as possible. It's to be the most excellent possible institution and be able to protect knowledge and pursue knowledge. That is what the goal of college should be.
But what do you think the best solution is for people that don't have those opportunities to begin with?
I mean, first and foremost, try your best to graduate high school, make the most of your life. You know, maybe go to two-year college or technical school. I mean, these are just general life advice. I mean, if you want to stay out of poverty, it's not hard in America, by the way. And everyone in this audience, it's not hard. It's very easy to stay out of poverty. You want to know how to stay out of poverty? Don't commit crimes. Get married before you have kids. Get a job, any job. Yeah, exactly. Get a job, any job, right? And be like not awful with money. You do those 4 things, you can stay out of what is classified as poverty in this country.
Okay, just one last point, because I remember you were talking about, or at least I heard that you were talking about, that character can be a part of merit. Could you make the argument that someone has a lot of character if they do come from a harder circumstance and we're still able to
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I think character does matter a lot. How you weigh it in an admission process is very complicated, though.
I agree, yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
very complicated.
Appreciate it.